Welcome to Overtime with Jared P. and Johnny O. We have special guest, former professional football player Jeremy Phillips, back on the podcast for a third or fourth time now. And
Yeah, I think it's
our
four. I think it's four. Yeah.
fourth, yeah.
Yeah.
And just in time for football season, week one in the books. We're going to get into some teams that we think were impressive, that impressed us the most, two or three teams, and also maybe a team or two that were like, oh, they're in trouble this year. And we'll go from there also into some players that have been impressive that surprised us in week one. And we want to thank our title sponsor, Elite Performance Chiropractic. Jeremy, why don't you tell us about it since you're here?
I'm the owner, founder of Elite Performance Chiropractic here in Greensboro. We're at 1901 Westridge, which is right beside Village Tavern, which kind of narrows it down for everybody in the area.
Yeah.
But we've been doing chiropractic here for 17 years in November. This November will be 17 years. And we see a lot of athletes. All the docs here that work for me are certified in a technique called active release technique, which is a patented soft tissue technique. And we've also recently kind of expanded our services here to offer an IDD therapy, which is a new age form of spinal decompression. So we're really excited about that. We've gotten that end of the business off the ground, and we're ready to see that grow. So
nice. That's awesome. And how can people find you? Easiest way, like online or?
Yeah, epchiropractic.com. Elite Performance Chiropractic, Google, anything, Jeremy Phillips.
Social media.
I pop up more being a chiropractor now than I did a football player, so it's pretty cool.
Transition, right?
That's right. That's right.
Well, we appreciate your support and obviously your insight when it comes to professional sports and just sports in general. So, all right. So week one, Johnny, I know you were scared, terrified off the pod that you won't be able to say anything with me and Jeremy on the same podcast. So why don't you start us off? You start us off with two or three teams. We're not going to listen. We're not going to listen to you, but two or three teams that you thought were good.
I take everything back that I was saying about you guys before the show. You guys are all right, man. Good. Yeah. All right. A couple teams that really impressed me over the weekend. And I tell you what, I thought it was a good NFL weekend starting on Thursday. So it was exciting and a lot of neat stuff happening. And I'll just get this out of the way. My first team, I'm impressed with my Eagles because it's hard, man. You win the Super Bowl, then you play on the opening night. You're playing against the Cowboys that everybody talks about, and they're still talking about them. They still think the Cowboys are the best team in the NFL, but that's okay. And the Eagles came out. They were a little rusty on defense in the first half, but man, they certainly made some adjustments in the second half. And yes, I did stay up even during that almost hour and a half delay. So I had to watch that game. That ended up being a great game. So the Eagles really, I'm being sincere, they impressed me that they came out with all that hoopla going on and the banner and all that kind of stuff. They won the first game. That was key. And my man Jalen Hurts was just so impressive the way he managed the game. But the real team, the team that really blew my mind, I'm a little afraid of the Green Bay Packers, man. The defense, and Mike is not even in shape yet, and they didn't even need him, to be honest with you, because they have had a great defense. But he's going to be a big difference. And Jordan Love, if he can stay away from turnovers, which is why they have a really great defense to make up for some of the turnovers that he makes, they're a scary team. And they made Detroit look like the Detroit Lions of about 4 or 5 years ago. Detroit didn't look anything like themselves. So the Packers really showed me some really, really good stuff. Of course, it all depends on injuries and all that kind of good stuff, but they will be there at the end, and they were close to it last year. And I got one other team, then I'll let you guys talk. You guys might be a little surprised in this one, but the Baltimore Ravens are the best team in the National Football League. Seriously, there is no. And the Eagles are stacked, and the Packers and all that. The Baltimore Ravens are the best team in the National Football League, but they lose games. I can't figure it out. Lamar Jackson is absolutely spectacular. Derrick Henry is unstoppable. but then it all changes toward the end of the game. So, player-wise, they're the best team. Is it coaching? What is it that happens to this team? Because that was the greatest comeback I've ever seen, man. The Buffalo Bills. That was a wonderful, wonderful game to watch. But to me, the Ravens they should be in the Super Bowl. Will they be? Probably not, but they're the best team and they still impressed me. That first half, I said, oh my God, this team is going to blow through everybody this year. And then they just blew it at the end. But that's my take on three teams that really impressed me, but then let me down at the end.
All right, Jeremy Phillips, what do you think? What are the two or three teams that impressed you?
I think we align a lot, Johnny O, after this week one, as bad as I hate to say it about the Eagles, but they did look nice. But in the flip side of the coin, I thought the Cowboys looked good. I really did thought I had lower expectations of the Cowboys, I thought, and I thought they played fairly well. I thought Dak looked sharp being game one. But I watched a lot of football. Thursday night. I more listened to it than I watched it because I was driving to Philly. But I watched a lot of football on Sunday. Brock Purdy, he looked pretty sharp. I'm not saying San Fran's. I do love San Fran's defense. I think they fly around or whatever. But I liked Green Bay. I think Green Bay looked pretty balanced. Both sides of the football. Jordan Love looked sharp. Their defense obviously flying around. And they didn't even use Jacobs that much. They got multiple receivers up there and stuff like that. So, it's weapon of choice up there for Love, I think. I was impressed. But when it got to Sunday Night Football, after watching multiple games all throughout the day, when it got to Sunday Night Football, I'm in the first half of this game, and I'm like, these guys are on an upper echelon, both teams.
Yeah.
We're on an upper echelon in comparison to some of the other sloppy football I saw all day. I saw some teams do some good things, and obviously you could tell some teams were better than others, but I just thought that head and shoulders above everybody I saw play all day. I thought both of those teams, Buffalo and Baltimore, were playing well for week one. In my eyes, that's probably our AFC championship game right there.
It looked like a AFC championship game.
Yeah. And San Diego, I'll throw out another team. I watched that whole game on Friday night. I thought San Diego looked strong with Harbaugh running the football and Herbert really coming into his own. I'm really excited to see San Diego come on this year, and I'm really more excited about them being in the same division with Kansas City because we'll get to my bold prediction of the year later on in the segment, but that plays a hand in it with the Chargers being improved.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And real quick on the Chargers, Harbaugh, who is, a running coach, believe it or not, they only had like 92 yards rushing. He actually let Herbert throw the football. And that was fun to watch because we really haven't seen that. And he looked good. He was well over 300 yards and three touchdowns?
Is that rushing the football, that stat you just threw out, does that include the quarterback rushing?
Yeah, he had 30-something yards rushing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I knew he made some plays with his feet as well, but I didn't know if that was –
Yeah.
No, only about 60 yards from running backs, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we all can agree on the Packers. Johnny, when we did our early predictions before the season started, Green Bay was my dark horse Super Bowl winner. And so I'm not surprised, but they looked really, really good. I think the Colts are going to do something this year. I think they're in a weak division. I think Daniel Jones, he has his second chance. He was a competent quarterback and otherwise, Giants have had success, in the mid 2000s and historically, but then the last 5 or 10 years, I guess maybe you could say because of Daniel Jones. But I do like the Colts. And they made the Dolphins look like they were a college football team. And there's a lot of problems with the Dolphins. Don't get me wrong. So that's going to be hard to pick. But in a very winnable AFC South, I think the Colts, or somebody that nobody's talking about because they're not a sexy team to talk about right now, because you kind of have a guy that's on to his second team that was kind of like, is he even going to win the starting job? And Daniel Jones looked really, really good. And so and their defense looked great against the Dolphins, but we'll see how week one's hard, how good or how bad are some of these teams, but you can definitely the eyeball test with Green Bay. And then I would say the Colts. And I'm going to be a wet blanket once again this year on the Buffalo Bills. Their defense is atrocious, and they're going to have problems if they don't shore up their run defense and their secondary, basically their whole defense. They're going to they cannot Josh Allen can't be Superman every game. This happens every year. It's like they expect him to do everything, and he can do everything, but he doesn't play defense. I mean, this was a blowout. Let's not forget, this was not a competitive game until a total collapse by the Ravens and a Derrick Henry fumble, which he never fumbles. They missed an extra point earlier in the game where it had been a 9-point game, which had been out of reach at that point, instead of being able to tie on a 2-point conversion. But give the Bills, you're in the game. They made it happen. But those last 4 minutes in a normal situation without this uncharacteristic fumble by Derrick Henry, they run the clock out, the game's over, and we're talking about how bad the Bills' defense is. The Bills' defense is horrible. And so, with that being said, they're going to win the AFC West. I mean, they're going to win their East, sorry, not West, AFC East easily, I think. I think, the Jets are going to probably be the number 2 team in the AFC East going forward, because I think Justin Fields looked really good. So those are my – so I agree with you. So the Ravens, to me, are the best team in the NFL, followed by the Packers. And then, the Colts, I think we'll see what they can do. They're not a team I want to follow. They're not interesting to me, but I think they could easily win their division and see where we go from there.
That division is the AFC version of the NFC South.
Yeah.
Anybody can win that division. I mean, the Panthers aren't out of it. when you look at the NFC South, I mean, people talk about, you think the Panthers make a playoff? I'm like, I think they got a good shot at making the playoffs. Now, they didn't look great this past weekend. I was a little bit disappointed in the Panthers. But much the same as that AFC division, anybody can win that division. It's up for grabs. And right now, I think I'm with you. Indianapolis showed that they may be that team to win that division this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you win your division, you got a home game. There could be a team that surprises people this year. Sure. Obviously, it's a super, super long season. Injuries will play a part. Usually the offense is ahead of the defense, or sometimes they say the defense. Well, Jeremy, get your perspective. Is defense in front of the offense at the beginning of the season, or offense in front of yeah?
Traditionally, it's defense is ahead of offense at this point in time in the season. But there again, I'm watching that game on Sunday, and where I've been watching week 1 games all weekend, and then I get to that game on Sunday, I'm like, man, these guys are like 3 or 4, week 3 or 4. They were just on another level, I felt like. Yeah. I don't know if it was the stage. I don't know if it was the fact that they had a possible championship, reenactment game here or what, but they looked way better than any other teams I saw play all day.
Are you concerned at all, and I'll ask you first, Jeremy, then Johnny, concerned at all at Buffalo's defense?
Yeah, I am. And I'm also concerned. What is this, Jared Allen's Allen's 8th year?
No, I think it's either like the 6th, maybe 6th.
Okay. Where's his marquee receiver? Why haven't they got him anybody?
I know.
I mean, yes, he had Diggs, and that was a bad situation several years ago. But how have they not thrown their hat in the ring to get, how does Calvin Ridley end up at Tennessee and not Buffalo, or something along those lines?
Even Deebo Samuel. I'm a Washington fan. I'm glad we got him, but
sure.
Deebo Samuel, you would think would maybe, but yeah.
Oh, you think about Deebo Samuel on the Buffalo, the way they play the game too. Oh my God, he would have fit right into that offense.
Sure.
Man, you should have been. You should be the GM for Buffalo on that one. I'm serious. That would have been a nice fit, even though he's a nice fit for a lot of teams.
Oh, but, yeah.
And this is his 8th year in the league, Johnny. How dare
Is
you?
it really?
I thought it was his 8th year.
Jeremy
Yeah.
Phillips.
Wow.
Beginning
Man,
of his 8th year. Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it, but holy crap, that's good for him.
Goes
And
that fast.
now here, before I say anything, Jared, did you want to say anything bad about Josh Allen? You usually, you're a Josh Allen basher on the show.
Well, I did not think he deserved the MVP last year. I thought he deserved to be second. And like I said, the year before, Lamar Jackson didn't deserve it. And Lamar Jackson has his best year ever and already won 2 MVPs. It's like, how do we do? How are we doing this? Why are we doing this when one clearly had a better season than the other? But because there's like fatigue for Lamar Jackson to win the MVP when years past he probably didn't deserve it, especially the first year where it's mostly running. And then he had this record year, this awesome year, and Josh Allen, I just thought he should have finished second. But yes, I do seem like a Josh Allen hater, and I'm not. That's like everything I love about the guy. But Buffalo's in trouble if they can't get that defense. I mean, they have a defensive-minded head coach, so I think they'll figure it out. But if they don't, they're going to ask a lot, and he's going to be at risk for injury, and I don't like that at all.
Let me remind you, week 1, and they played the Baltimore Ravens. Let's give that defense a little bit of.
That's true.
There's still hope, and I think they will adjust. But man, I'm telling you, that Raven team scares me, and I hope they continue to lose stupid games because I think it's between the ears. Players and you hate to question Harbaugh, but when you lose close games like that, it doesn't it come down to a lot of coaching or what?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But at the end of the day, those guys are adults. They're professional football players,
Yeah.
but yeah, you're right. Schematically, the coach is on the line for that stuff, so.
And the Ravens are so good. They not only can beat every other team in the NFL, they can beat themselves too. That's a pretty
Yeah.
All right. So let's start with you, Jeremy. What are some players that impressed you this week?
I'll tell you one right off the cuff to hit on your Indianapolis Colts is Tyler Warren. Is it Tyler Warren? Maybe I'm getting confused with the running back for Pittsburgh, but the tight end from Penn State now playing for Indy. Phenomenal.
Great football player, that guy.
Yes. I liked him as a rookie. I think he made a name for himself this week. It was very eye-opening. And players, I thought Love managed the game well. I thought Brock looked sharp. I was surprised with Dak. I really was surprised with Dak. I have not been a Dak fan, but I was surprised the way he played the other night. If CeeDee Lamb,
I know, jeez,
makes a couple of catches, it may be a different outcome in Philly,
I've been hearing that for 4 or 5 days now. Hey, if CD didn't drop those passes, if this didn't happen, the Cowboys would have won. Really? So all that's not part of the game. Sorry, man. No, I'm not telling you, Jeremy, but oh my God, the talking heads with that. If he didn't drop those, you don't know what's going to happen. You really don't. But I love that he dropped those passes.
I don't like the Cowboys. I'm not losing any sleep over the Cowboys losing, but yeah. Mm-hmm. But as a football fan, you're like, dude, seriously? You're like a clutch, you're an excellent receiver, and they hit you right in the hands.
I'm not a Cowboys fan, but you're paying a kid that kind of money. It should be expected that you make that play.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And if CeeDee Lamb was on this television show or this podcast right now, he would have to agree with us.
Yeah,
he should have made that catch.
Yeah,
100%.
That's the difference in coaching in the NFL. Like these coaches, when you make a mistake like that, there's a reason why Nick Saban was successful in college and not in the pros. There's a different demeanor when it comes to pro coaches and college coaches. And pro coaches are under understanding that if you're up there, they trust their scouting department. If you're up there, you're supposed to be there. And so when you mess up, when you make a mistake, they don't rub your face in it. They know, because they know if you've made it up there, you're your own worst critic, and nobody is going to beat you up worse than you are in your head.
Yeah.
And so they just kind of look at you and be like, you got it? And yep, you got it.
Yeah.
But whereas college, it's beratement, it's whatever it's going to get you focused. Whatever, Nick Saban was a master at coaching to specific players, and it's a different approach, and that's why you got some great college coaches that are never successful in the NFL, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Well, for me, that's a great point. For me, a player that really impressed me, and you're going to hate this, Johnny, was Aaron Rodgers. 4 touchdowns in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And the NFL is better when there's great quarterback play, and there's a lot of great quarterbacks. But Aaron Rodgers looked great. I mean, he's not as mobile as used to be coming off the Achilles 2 years later, but man, when he throws a dart, he throws a dart. When he has to throw a touch pass, he throws a touch pass. And they did win 10 games last year. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but the Russell Wilson, his second half of his career, I don't understand. Like, he goes to Denver, he doesn't play bad. The offense wasn't really open up to him, and he shipped off. He had a great career in Seattle, and there's rumors about he's too corny, or people don't like him, or he seems disingenuous. But then he's like at children's hospitals every week. He seemed like a good guy, and he seems very. Then he goes to Pittsburgh. They make the playoffs. There's all sorts of injuries on the offensive side. They have some issues with wide receiver Pickens and being a diva. They still make the playoffs, or they win 10 games, I should say. They win 10 games and all, and he shipped off. And then he goes to Giants. He had a bad game against Washington, and they're already talking about, Jackson Dart's going to replace him anyway. So Aaron Rodgers is coming into a pretty decent situation. You come into a double-digit win team with a coach that kind of just very consistent with Mike Tomlin. And I just like watching him play. I mean, it was just fun to see him out there, because when he finds somebody open, it's a millisecond, it's out of his hand, and I think that's why some people were comparing him to Tom Brady, which they should never have done, 4, 5, 6 years ago, because there's nobody throws a prettier ball, in my opinion, than Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. And so Aaron Rodgers impressed me a lot. And in that same game, a guy who I thought was not an NFL quarterback, Justin Fields, looked like an NFL quarterback. I mean, making the reads, getting his second, third options, and throwing people open, that's like that next level stuff. A Jets offense with Aaron Rodgers that did not look good at all last year looked really good for most of the game against normally a good Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So that was my second player that I was really impressed with, Justin Fields, and he's obviously extremely dangerous with his legs. And then a guy who looked like he did not deserve to play college football last night, McCarthy for the Vikings. I don't know if you watched the whole game. He had 20 yards passing late into the first half, and he had like a 28-yard pass right before halftime. So he had 48 yards passing for the Vikings with a great head coach, great offensive-minded coach. Sam Darnold looked like an MVP last year for the Minnesota Vikings. He looked atrocious in the third quarter, threw a pick six, and was holding on to the ball too long. In the fourth quarter, he looked like he was Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. I don't know if you watched the fourth quarter. He looked awesome. I was like, because I'm thinking, are they going to pull this guy in their first game? Are they going to be patient? Because the NFL is that way now. There's a lot of money involved. They've got what's his face that's been a journeyman that used to be with the Eagles and got hurt, and he was with Washington for a while. And he goes, can't remember his name, Carson
Wentz.
Wentz. Yeah, Wentz. He's their backup or one of their backups. In the fourth quarter, he looked great, making all the right throws. He can move with his legs. So I'm like, okay, I can see what the coaches see. And he diced up. I think they said he's the first rookie or first person, his first start ever, to account for 3 touchdowns or in the fourth quarter for his team in the debut. So very impressed with him for one quarter. So those are mine. What about you, Johnny? I'm sure yours are all Eagles.
And I agree with JJ. I mean, what a night. That's a good quarter to really sparkle in. So I got to give him credit. And boy, he did look a little suspect, for the first 2.5
very
quarters.
Suspect. He looked very uncomfortable.
But after the game and during the game and then in the locker room, he sure seems like a leader. They're behind him, including Jefferson. Oh my God, he loves him. Yeah, so that impressed me. And did you see that diamond Justin Jefferson had on? Oh my gosh!
I was talking to my girlfriend last night, and we were like, "How do they?" Jeremy, I don't know, maybe you know. How do they wear that during the game? I'd be so worried.
And he gets fined for it. He gets fined for it every game.
Oh, is that right?
He does?
Yeah. So when you go out when you go out for pre-warm-ups before then you go back in and you come out for the start lineup. So when you go out for pre-warm-ups, you're essentially supposed to wear what you're going to wear in the game. And so the referees, they go through every player. They evaluate every player. And so when you go back into the locker room before you come out for starting lineups, they turn over the list of the players that are in violation. So you say, if you come back out with this stuff, you're going to get fined. I'll never forget when I played the Live Strong bracelets. It's no telling how much money people paid in fines due to Live Strong bracelets.
Wow.
It was crazy because back when I played, the NFL was all Reebok. Live Strong was associated with Nike, Lance Armstrong, all that stuff. And so, but I'm sure every time, I mean, he's got multiple chains on, like multiple diamond chains on.
Yep.
And
That's nuts.
And I'm sure every time he's getting told, I would love to know how much he's getting fined each game to wear those chains.
Well, that brings me to a story in the NBA. Derek Coleman, he was, number one pick out of Syracuse back in the early 90s. And the NBA, it was about his third or fourth year. And the NBA said, hey, everyone's got to dress up in suits. You guys are wearing some crazy clothes, this and that. We want suits or else you're going to get fined. So Coleman came in with whatever he had, a sweatsuit on or whatever. And they said, well, we're going to fine you. He said, well, how much is it each game? And they said $50,000. So he said, well, what's 50 times 80? Whatever that is, what's that, $400,000? Let me cut you a check right now because I'm not wearing a suit all year long. So he just did that.
That's insane. I can tell you're a Syracuse fan because it'd be like well over $4 million. But anyway, go ahead.
$4 million?
You do that Happy Gilmore. You do that John Daly math from Happy Gilmore too. But go ahead. No, it's fine.
That was the only thing I was good in. It was math, and I just blew it. Oh no! On national television.
They said there would be no math. Yeah, I got you.
So anyway,
I love that. That's a good story. That's a great story.
Back to so most impressive player. You guys mentioned a couple of great guys. Aaron Rodgers was very impressive. He looked fresh, man, very fresh. He really did. And Justin Fields, I was so happy. Aaron Glenn is letting him play his kind of game. So if the Jets might be okay if they play like that every game. But they should have won that game, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But Aaron did look good. And of course, Josh Allen and, Jalen, they were all great. But I'm telling you, the one guy that was just my top guy was Justin Herbert. I haven't seen him play like that since he jumped in the NFL, to be honest with you. 320 yards, 3 touchdowns. He ran for 32. He looked like a really terrific NFL quarterback. So he was my number one guy because, with Harbaugh, I can't believe Harbaugh's letting him throw the ball. So he must be that impressive for Mr. Coach Harbaugh to let that happen. So Justin Herbert's my guy this past weekend.
All right. And then is there any team that you think's in major trouble this year? Johnny, you want to start with you?
Well, let's do our sponsors.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, my bad.
Couple other sponsors, our good friends over at Estate Jewelry and Loan. Something old, something new. Estate Jewelry has a great selection of new and estate jewelry, and you can really find a unique piece for any occasion at Brian's showroom. You can see him at 2511 Battleground Ave and also at estatejewelryloan.com. I was in his shop the other day. Gold, I guess, is at an all-time high right now. Lady brought in a little piece of, I don't even know what you want to call it, but it was like an ounce of gold.
Yeah.
And she sets it on the table, and he just gives her $3,600, $100 bills. So he's the guy to go see. I asked him if I could mention it. He said, absolutely. He goes, bring the people in. The gold is at a sky high right now. So go see Brian at Estate Jewelry and Loan. Salsarita's Fresh Mexican Grill, located in High Point at the Palladium and in Greensboro in the Target Shopping Center and New Garden Road. He's got a food truck, catering, daily specials. You can see their menu at salsaritas.com. And then my insurance guy, Shank and Torrance Insurance, located in Greensboro, but they serve the entire Triad and state. Brian Torrance specializes in personal insurance, including auto, homeowners, and life insurance. Give him a call at 336-310-1320 for all your insurance needs. And then go check out our friend Davis Troxler over at Tee It Up Indoors Golf over on Battleground Ave. He's got 3 simulators with over 100,000 golf courses. And if you go in there, tell him we sent you, and he'll give you 30 minutes free on a simulator.
All right, excellent. All right, teams that are in trouble. John, do you want to start? I can go ahead since you've been doing all the sponsors and stuff. And I kind of base this on a team that we thought would do something, because obviously there's teams that were bad last year and they look like they might be bad this year. And so, I already mentioned the Bills. I do think the Bills are in trouble with their defense, but they have obviously a fighting chance with Josh Allen. And you're right, they did play the Baltimore Ravens. But I think a team that's going to be in some pretty big trouble this year is the 49ers. I know Brock Purdy looked good. I think they lost too many players. Kittle, they said, is out possibly for a couple of weeks now. Purdy might not play week 2. It's a well-coached team. They obviously, had 2 chances to win the Super Bowl in the last few years, being up double digits twice. And, so it's obviously a very competent organization, and Purdy doesn't make mistakes. When he's healthy, he doesn't really make mistakes. But I think in that division, they're in trouble. I think they lost too many key players in the offseason, and they're going to have to play perfect to win these close games. And that's going to be, I think, an uphill battle for the entire season. So I think it's for 49ers fans, not a season they're going to be really worried about. What about you? What do you think, Jeremy?
I mentioned the bold prediction. I've been telling everybody this. My bold prediction is I don't think Kansas City's going to win their division this year.
Oh.
So I think their division is kind of caught up with them. I think Denver's defense is amazing. If Bo Nix can manage the game, much the same as he ended the year last year, I think he could. I think they can do well. And after watching the Chargers in Brazil on Friday night, I really and truly think the Kansas City Chiefs are in trouble. Now, I may be eating my words, and that's a bold statement.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of a reach. It's not like I'm saying, "Oh man, the New Orleans Saints are in trouble." I'm
right.
I'm talking. But I think their division has caught up with them. Everybody won in their division this week, but them. They're going to they got some pieces missing. They're going to get Rice back. I think he's 4 games, 6 game suspension, something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, man, San Diego, they looked good. Denver with Surtain and those guys, they got a great defense. They got guys coming off the edge. I mean, Tyreek Hill is no longer there. And they haven't been, let's be honest, they have not been right since Tyreek Hill. They made the Super Bowl last year off their defense.
Right.
Which is total flip side of what they made it previously. I think they're in trouble. I really do think they're in trouble. Now, other teams, it's easy to say some of these other teams, but, I was disappointed with Carolina. I thought they would look better than they did. I don't think they're in trouble. I just think they've got a lot of young guys that, week 1, I think they'll improve as the season goes, much the same as they did last year. But there again, if they get it together, they can legitimately win that division and make the playoffs. Because that division's so weak. So, but my bold prediction that goes along with who I think's in trouble, relatively speaking, I think the Kansas City Chiefs are in trouble.
What do you think is the chances the Chiefs finish 3rd in the division? Behind the Chargers and let's say the Knicks, Bo Nix, and the Broncos.
I think they could legitimately finish 3rd.
Maybe not make the playoffs at all.
Yeah,
hey,
unless both wild cards come out of their division, which is
possible. Yeah.
Las Vegas even won this past week, so look out for Vegas with Pete Carroll.
Yeah,
boys, any older
Gino can sling it. Gino can sling it.
He can.
Yeah. He can. He's much. and I love Jameis Winston, but he's a lot like Jameis Winston. I mean, he
Yeah.
can go off for 450 yards and 4 touchdowns in a second.
Yeah.
I mean, he can.
He looked great. And they have Genty, which is a poor man's Derrick Henry, but it ain't too bad to have him. And then Bowers. They've got some pieces there, defensive pieces, and no one has more energy as a coach, I don't care what age, than Pete Carroll.
I love when he's drinking. I mean, he looks great. He moves great. I mean, and he's 76? Is he 76?
Yeah, he's older than Belichick. He's older than Belichick, or right the same age.
It's amazing.
Just full. You're right, full of life, and just he still enjoys what he does, man, and does. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love watching him on the sideline. But well, my disappointment, I guess, that team that laid an egg. It was the Panthers, one of them. And just because I thought, show me some improvement. Their offense looks exactly the same like it's looked for the past couple of years. So I don't know about this Bryce. I've been bad on Bryce Young, and I know he improved the second half of the last year, but come on, man. This is it's getting ugly. But besides them, I was going to say the Dolphins, but that was just horrible. I'm going to say I was a little disappointed in the Detroit Lions. I just, their offense was so explosive last year. I mean, and they made it look easy last year, and they were stifled by the Green Bay Packers. They were never in that game. So my big disappointment is the Lions. They better improve because, like we were talking about, that division is going to be real tough. So the biggest disappointment of week one for me was how the Detroit Lions played. And I do apologize to my good friend Tom Bloomer, who is a huge Lions fan, but I think he might agree with me on that. And he is an avid listener of us.
All right. Lions, yeah, that's a good pick because Ben Johnson is not there anymore. And sometimes you lose these talented coordinators. Now, they did play Green Bay. These talented coordinators, and it's an adjustment for sure. They have a veteran team. Well, they have a good mix. So we'll see how that pans out. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us. Always great to get your insight. We know you're on a tight schedule, owning a company, being a doctor, and, multiple locations. And you do it all, man. And the podcast, I try. So, yeah, we seriously do appreciate your time and support with the podcast. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm really anxious, just based off what I saw week one. I'm just really anxious to see how, if we do a reassessment week 3, week 4, I think we may be surprised, and I think some of these teams are going to start separating themselves further.
Yeah.
I really do think the Panthers are. I just want to believe the Panthers are going to get it sorted out. There's too much talent on that team. But defensively, they're in trouble there. But offensively, they got a lot of weapons, and I think they'll get it sorted out, win some ball games.
Yeah, because they definitely were trending in the right direction the last half of the season last year. And we may have you back week 4, reassess.
Let me know.
Absolutely. Okay. You got it. All right, guys, great show, and we'll see you next week.
We're talking the overtime play. The big stories, the big plays, the big drama. We got